Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Okay, cool.
Actually, I mean, you listen back to the podcast.
Yeah, it
There's
sounded
literally
great.
nothing on these. It's just straight in,
That's
direct in.
what you want then.
And as a
That's
singer,
good.
I feel like you could appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Anyway, Kylie, welcome to the
What's
studio
up?
corner.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on
I'm
here.
honored to be here.
I would have never thought in a million years, high school last time I saw, well, I mean, we've seen each other at the gym, but
Yeah.
being in high school, knowing you were an athlete,
Yes.
I would have never guessed in a million years that we would find ourselves this many years later and you'd be working in the industry, of the music
I
industry.
didn't know that either. So I'm surprised too.
I would have never. So that
Yeah.
article that you sent me, I read it and I was super intrigued by the whole you entering into music, the whole concept.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it started with an injury.
It did.
Walk me through getting the injury and finding music.
Okay.
How close together were those?
They were pretty well. I actually have a little pre-story
Ooh, let's
from
do
that.
it.
So,
I like it.
well, I'll start with the injury. So, my last track meet of senior year, I tore my Achilles tendon in the last jump. Like, I had played sports my whole life, never been injured. Last jump, I just rip it in half. I just decided to go out with a bang, I guess. And so I had surgery. I don't know if you remember, but at graduation, I was on crutches.
Okay.
They were hot pink.
I don't remember a lot of graduation. But
Oh, really?
I was sober.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that sounded terrible. I was sober. I was just not paying attention at all.
Okay, yeah, it was kind of boring, but I remember it very well because I was on crutches. But so I go to college that fall. I went to Pepperdine for a semester, and I wanted to like play sports and like do intramural stuff and that kind of thing. And that's kind of the way I connected with people growing up, and
Yeah.
that's just what I did and what I was naturally good at. And I couldn't do it, and so I was like, what do I do? Like, I want to be involved in something, you know?
Yeah.
So I saw this sign-up sheet it was like a new student orientation thing for this church to sing at a church, and there was no one on the list. And this guy talked to me, and he was nice, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'll do that. Like, why not? And
Comfortable enough environment.
yeah, and I did it, and I think the first time I sang there, like, literally 4 people showed up. It was, like, so tiny, and I was so nervous. But it was, for me, looking back, that was really significant because it was the first time I had said yes to doing music.
Wow.
And I had always loved singing, but I grew up watching American Idol, and I knew I wasn't
That's like
good
the
enough.
worst gauge you could have given yourself as a child.
I know, it was my favorite show, and
man,
so I
that's brutal.
I was very aware of how many people were better than me, and also how many people wanted to do it, and so I just thought it's fun, but I'm not gonna
Not
go win
possible.
American Idol. Yeah, you know. And prior to that, though, my senior year, I started writing songs in my room and not telling anyone.
I like it.
And,
Bedroom musician.
Yep, and because I was so shy, and continued that at Pepperdine and through college, and didn't really tell anyone until like a year later that I had been just writing all these songs, and I kind of
Wow.
fell into that too. So that gave me
Wow.
more time to do that at college too.
So you didn't
was
really
good.
dive into music until you got to that college orientation then, where you
Yeah.
found the church thing.
Yeah, I hadn't told anyone I wanted to. I like did a little in high school, but I didn't. You could do choir. I don't really like choir music. It was fun, just not
Which
my
is
favorite
funny because
type
going
of.
to a church is where you got your first opportunity to sing.
Yeah, but I
Ironic.
think that's a big misconception is like the church I go to, and a lot of churches don't do choiry.
I figure that's kind of an
Like
old school
we have
thing.
electric guitars, we've got a bass, like it's fun.
Yeah.
It's not like stiff at
So
all.
you played in front of 4 people.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just me. Yeah, was slightly off topic, but in the idea of performing, is it me or is it 100 times more nerve-wracking to perform in front of less people, like 4 or 5 people, than like 1,000?
It depends on the situation.
See, for me, the more people there is, the better I'm going to be, the more comfortable I'm going to
Yeah.
be. Like, fill a stadium and I'm going to thrive.
Yeah.
Throw
yeah.
one person in front of me, I'm like,
Because it's more intimate.
Oh, yeah, you
It's
got to
like-
look them straight in the face.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't just look away. Like, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. I don't know. It just depends on the situation. Like at the church I sing at a lot, there can be like 1,000 or 2,000 people there. I used to get really nervous. Now it's like whatever because I've done it a lot. But recently I played a house show and I thought I literally the week before I was like, I'm going to die.
Really?
Like, this is awful. I was so nervous. And the house show was like 30 people.
Oh goodness, so that's like the ultimate intimate.
I know.
It's not even a venue. It's just welcome to my home, play for my guests.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially singing, it's different. Like I get to hide behind a guitar sometimes. Yeah. Because I sing too, not as well as you, obviously. But like
I haven't heard you sing, actually.
My performance is just me and acoustic guitar and singing. But like I've played parties and gigs like that where like I can just sit there with my guitar and that's fine because no one's gonna pay attention to the guy playing guitar in the corner.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. But the moment you open your mouth, oh my goodness.
Well, this too, it wasn't like background music. It was like
straight
there's
up.
like 30 chairs and everyone is looking at you, and it ended up being really fun. And I feel like once you hit the first note, it's like, okay, I'm good. But oh man, leading up to it, I was like, this is the worst. I was so nervous.
So with the nerves, you started writing songs in senior year, but then you go to this church when you're in college. You start singing. You had the confidence to write the songs, but you never even thought about exposing them.
Yeah.
So I've, just for personal reasons, because a lot of people are have that bedroom musician kind of vibe where like they just want to write for themselves and do that. I've never been on that side of things. I've always I love writing. I love playing a lot of stuff, but I'm also very much like a sociable, just everything on the table. Like, look at me, let's, so I'm very comfortable with like writing and expressing and showing those things. But I've always wondered what kind of like, how different things could be when you actually sit in your room, close yourself off from the world, if you will, and wrote songs for yourself. So I imagine there was a huge difference from then until now when you're writing for other people.
Definitely.
Or even writing songs that you're going to expose.
Yeah, it's hard.
So is there something that like, cuts you off from like going deeper because you're going to express it? Were you able to like dive into a more vulnerable state when you were writing just in your bedroom?
Yeah. I think you're always able to write more vulnerable songs in your bedroom. When you don't put the pressure on yourself, I usually tell myself no one's going to, because sometimes I just do it because I love to do it and I know no one's going to hear it. And then it ends up being like a better song because of that.
There's no judgment.
There's no judgment. And I think you kind of have to approach everything like that. But it's hard when you get a brief or something or you're writing with other people and there's pressure. You have to learn to just ignore it. And it's easier said than done.
Well, see, that's always crazy to me because like the best music totally comes from that super vulnerable place, right? Like the no judgment place. I actually just talked about this on my last episode. The no judgment idea.
Yeah.
And like it's crazy because like then they hire songwriters. They want to write the best songs, right?
Right.
But like in that environment, there's automatic just pressure, judgment. Do it this way. Just completely cuts off that whole aspect of being vulnerable. How do you combat that?
Like what kind of situation you mean? Like if I'm like with other people or just by myself?
So let's say you walk into the studio and they're like, all right, we want you to write this song with this one other person comes in. You guys are gonna write a song together, and they have like, all right, you have 2 hours or however long they're gonna give you. It's got to be this kind of vibe, and we want it to be amazing.
Okay.
They've already like kind of cut off a lot of vulnerable avenues there. How do you combat that? How do you still stay a creative person? How do you pull that shit off?
I think the number one thing for me with songwriting is always it has to be about something real. Whether it's like if they're like write a song about coming home, like I could string a bunch of words together that talk about coming home and finding yourself, but if it doesn't mean anything to me personally, why would I expect that to mean something to anybody else?
Yeah.
Because it's not real. And yeah, I think it just has to be about something real.
So what if you find a situation that you can't relate to, that hasn't happened to you, that's not real for you?
Then that's what your co-writer's for.
That's what you gotta pray that the other person has that experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a whole other world for me. I did like, I guess you could call it technically songwriting at Universal Records. They had this like kind of sub label called Rondor Records.
Okay.
And through one person or the other person, I met with these guys. It was for a few months. I would show up at 8 p.m., leave at like 4 a.m., songwriting sessions.
Really? That's cool.
I would walk in with my guitar and be like, let's write a song. So I'd ask them what vibe, and like I would have time to just sit there and like vibe with the writer, and I'd come up with a chord progression. This guy would take like 6 hours to write lyrics and then record them.
Okay.
So I always wondered, I was like, there's no way that's how it's always done. There's no way that's how people are doing this. So that's my only experience in like the studio songwriting.
Yeah.
Like being hired or something like that.
That's really interesting. I don't think I've ever worked on lyrics for 6 hours was continuously.
Well, yeah. Well, see, that's what's crazy because like he works on the the lyrics for however long, and do you ever know who you're writing for, or like
Yeah.
you know what the song is going to be placed in?
Yes.
So like
yeah.
this, we didn't even know. It was just like write music to have songs.
I
in the
have done
library.
that too. Like, oh, like let's just write together and see what happens.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But nowadays, I don't like to do that as often because 90% of the time, it's not gonna. If
Well,
you're
do you
like,
get paid for that? Do you get paid to just like show up and?
not if you don't have a publishing deal.
Right?
You're just freelance. No.
Yeah.
So I try to, unless I just like really like the person and I know we're gonna write a good song, I don't typically do that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call. So shifting back to your injury,
Yes.
when you were going through that, it probably sucked. I mean, it's like having your entire what you've done your whole life, like you said,
Yeah.
your avenue of getting to people taken away
Yeah.
from you. Finding music, this is gonna sound really cheesy, but was there any like sort of like healing factor to it? Like because I imagine there had to have been some sort of dark thoughts. Like you kind of got down in the sense that I just tore my Achilles tendon. I'm not gonna be able to do everything that I've always done. Here comes music. Did it have a healing factor in the sense that it prevented you from going to a dark place, or was it just kind of like, here's the next thing I'm gonna do?
Honestly, I didn't really go to a dark place.
Really?
No, which is surprising.
Okay, so
like,
forget
I
the
didn't
music
even...
for a second. How did you stay so positive?
I don't know. God?
Injuries
Jesus?
are like,
Like,
you put your faith in something.
I just... Yeah. I honestly, like, I was sad. Like, I'm not saying, oh, it was so
You were
easy
just
that I
stoked
went
every
through,
day
that
about
I couldn't
crutches.
walk for 4 months. But I don't know. I was really excited for the future. I was excited for college, and every day wasn't easy, but I don't know. It brought me closer to my family. Like, I did a lot of stuff with my mom that summer because she had to drive me everywhere, and it was
Yeah.
so great before leaving for school. And yeah, I will say that was a good way. Music was a good way to fill the time because I was in bed a lot or
Yeah.
in my room, and I couldn't move unless someone drove me somewhere or I
Yeah.
had a wheelchair. Which, by the way, I have a story for you about my
Okay.
wheelchair. Yeah, I don't know if you remember this. So after I tore my Achilles, it was like this is a little off topic.
You're good. No.
But after I tore my Achilles, I had to go to school the next day, and I hadn't had surgery.
You had to
Your
go, like,
face-
what when you say had to, what is this?
I mean, it was like, I think I tore it on like maybe a Friday, and then I went back on like a Monday or something. And I was in a wheelchair because we didn't know if I was going to have surgery or not.
Oh my god.
And our school is 3 levels.
Yeah.
And there's an elevator, but it's hard to get. It's a pretty big campus.
Yeah.
And
Got a nice
we
arm
had a
pump
class
going
together,
around.
and after class, you came up to me and asked if you could push me to my next class.
Did I?
Yeah, it was so nice.
Really?
Yeah, it was like really, really nice.
See
I was
that?
like,
Anyone
Haig is
listening,
awesome.
I can be
Haig
nice
is a good
sometimes.
person. And I was like, that was just so sweet. And then
I
I,
don't
told
remember
my
that at all.
mom, and my mom loves you now.
I've never.
And
have
I
met
told
your
her,
mom?
no, you've never met my mom, but I told her that I was coming on your podcast, and she was like, Haig, remember when he pushed you to your
I
class?
don't even remember this. You guys have this whole like persona built about me, and I don't even remember
It was
this.
like the nicest thing ever because like it was exhausting to wheel yourself.
Yeah, it's an arm pump.
It's
I mean,
awful.
well, it wasn't even the fact that there was 3 stories. Like even the distance going on flat ground. Like there was hills,
so
there was like
hard.
bumps. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
There was dodging people in the hallways.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
So
hell.
you pushed me in one of my classes. So thank
Well-
you. I just want to say thank you publicly.
Oh, I
Thank
appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate you saying thank you. I'm sorry I don't remember. I'm
No, it's okay.
glad I was there to
It
help.
was super nice.
So
Sorry,
in the
what were
wheel,
we
no,
talking
you're
about?
good. You're good. In the wheelchair, I'm just super curious because I mean, obviously, I have a lot of friends that are athletes, from like going to the gym like me every day to professional athletes, and
Yeah.
all of them have suffered. About 90% of them have suffered something,
Yeah.
whether it's like a tear, something similar to you. And I've watched a lot of them go into dark place.
Mm.
Of course, not a lot of them are musicians. So when I read that article and I was like, oh shit, that's right. Like, she had this injury. I was like, I'm kind of curious because it happened right after all this.
Yeah.
So you have all this time. Music is filling the time. When did you know you're like, I'm committing to this as a career? Because there's a huge difference
Yeah.
between filling the time and saying, all right, Kylie's fucking doing this. Because that's scary, especially of all industries.
Yeah, it was. And I think I was scared of looking like a crazy person for a long time. Because
so you chose the music industry?
No, I'm saying like that's why I didn't tell people I was writing songs for so long.
Okay.
Because I knew how many people wanted to do it, and I knew how competitive it was. Yeah. And also, I didn't grow up doing music. Like, if you look at me, like, I'm very unqualified to do what I do. Because most people, like, you just told me earlier, like, you played guitar since you were 5. Yeah. So it's like, well, I'm not going to go, like, try to play guitar against Hyde because he's been playing since he was 5. But,
yeah, but, I mean, I'm sure you've learned now it's never about the competition.
It's not a competition, but I'm just very competitive.
That's a good thing in a lot of realms. Yeah,
it can be. Sorry, what was the question?
When did you decide to go all in? When did you commit fully?
So, probably, let's see, I graduated high school probably like a year later.
A year later?
It was a long time.
Because I after high school? Or?
Yeah. Because I continued to write songs, and then I kind of started doing stuff at church more, but I thought of it as more of like this is a way I can like serve the church and like use my gifts. I didn't think of it as like, I'm going to do this. And then I ended up, so I went to Pepperdine for as a journalism major.
Okay.
Because I liked being behind a microphone, but it was the wrong microphone. And the first day I dropped it, I hated it.
Really?
Literally, first class I took of journalism, I went to the academic place wherever you go to
change your major,
and I was like, get me out of this. Like, I hate it.
Wow, good for you.
And so I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I kept writing songs. And so after that, I ended up going to community college for a little bit, and that's where I was like, okay, like, what do I really want to do? And I was like, what do I do in my free time? And I was like, all I do is write songs. Like, that's what I love to do. And so I kind of just started doing more stuff at church and like getting plugged into a studio that I lived close to, and just kind of gradually built it from there.
So you walk into the studio and just be like, hey, I sing?
No, I would not do that. My dad is very outgoing though.
Oh,
and he met a guy at a party, actually, which
networking.
Yeah, my dad's like way better at that than me. And found out he's a producer, and he was like, oh, like, we both live in Thousand Oaks. Like, my daughter's a songwriter. Could she like meet with you? And he was like, yeah, bring her in. And so I went in. His name's Michael Blue. He's awesome.
Sounds really familiar. He's local, right?
He is local. He did like Colby Calais, Jason Mraz. Like,
do you ever heard of the guy named Tim Heinz?
That sounds familiar.
Michael.
He probably he's done a lot. He's like super awesome. Okay. Super encouraging. And so I went and I played him some songs, and he was like, yeah, you're in. Like, I'll just like set you up on writing sessions. And I was like, okay. And so
that's paid writing sessions?
They were 4 paid projects. Some of them were.
Oh.
And some of them were just like, oh, here's an artist that I'm kind of developing. Like, you can come in and write with them. And so it didn't go anywhere for some of them, but it was like so invaluable to me because it was like, I felt like it was the internship that I didn't know I was in. Because I was just like writing every day, and I was in a studio all the time, and like I could just go whenever I wanted, and like.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was like a dream that I didn't even know.
How meant to be was that?
It was amazing. And like, I'm still plugged in there, and everyone there is awesome. And yeah, it was crazy. I was like writing every day, like 2 sessions a day. So you brought him the
songs that you were writing
I brought him songs that I had written myself.
And did he ask you to bring those into the studio with the artist? Or did he ask you just to come in and write?
No, he's just like, what do you want to do? And I told him I wanted to be a writer. And he was like, well, I think you're a good writer, so I'm going to like set you up on all these sessions.
So you like the writing more than you like the performing then?
At the time. Yeah.
Good. Was that first step, baby step?
Yeah, the baby step, yeah. So it was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That name is just, I know that name.
Yeah, you probably would.
Colby Calais, that's how you say it, right? Calais?
I think so, yeah.
She lives 2 doors down from the guy, Tim Heinz. That's why I asked.
Oh.
And Tim Heinz is like like a world-class producer guy. He like does a lot of Disney stuff. And,
okay.
But they live like 2 doors down from each other.
Okay.
And it's like right in TO.
Yeah, I know where she lives.
Okay, yeah. So it's that same area. And I was like, I wonder if
I don't know if she still lives in LA though. I think I
always wonder because like you think like 2 people in the industry that big, like they have to know each other, right? They're,
I'm
like,
sure
next
they
door
do.
Neighbors.
Yeah, I realize the older I get, like the industry, like everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
It's really small.
Yeah, they're like
And I
little
used
friends.
to not think that. And then
You wanted to dream like it was possible for everyone. And
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, I want to clarify. I mean,
Yeah.
just for me, and like this is my opinion. You can disagree with it.
okay.
That part of the industry, yes, there's very much like everyone knows each other on a certain level.
Yeah.
But it's also very possible to achieve everything they could give you without any of their help.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree with that.
10 times harder.
I think that's a big misconception that people have is like, I think a lot of songwriters think like, oh, I just have to like get with the right like this big producer. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, there's like so many up and coming producers that just like are as good as them or better. And they're just not discovered yet. Like
yeah,
go
and they're
find
just
those
releasing
people.
music constantly.
Yeah,
You know, their
yeah.
libraries are insane.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, go on Spotify. I guarantee if you spend 10 minutes on Spotify just searching random music, type in an artist, go to their radio, and then I guarantee within like 5 songs you'll find an artist you like. Go to that artist, and you can track down labels, independent producers. I mean, with libraries that you wouldn't believe, with songs that are just like change your
Amazing.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I love Spotify.
I know. It's great. Yeah.
I'm very much a Spotify advocate.
Really?
Over
I'm
Apple Music.
I'm an Apple Music.
I don't like their algorithm.
It feels more organized to me.
See, I mean, well, visually for sure.
Yeah,
100%
I just like
visually.
I like the layout better.
But their algorithm for like choosing like music that like works together. So like if you type in a radio station on Spotify and you take the same artist and type it on Apple Music.
Spotify does have better playlists.
Spotify is much more based off of the actual like style of music and what it sounds like, and Apple Music's very
Yeah.
much like who can we promote in this?
Yeah,
radio
who's
station?
paying us the most money
Yeah.
to put? Yeah.
And for me as a musician, I was like, I'm not trying to deal with that.
Yeah.
I want to listen.
Spotify
I do
has
wish
better
it looked
playlists.
like Apple Music. though.
Yeah, it looks very aesthetically nice.
Oh my God, what were we talking about?
I don't even know.
Oh, your commitment to music. Yeah.
Oh,
so you walk
yeah.
into the studio and you get this job, if you will, this
Yeah.
job writing. I mean,
Yeah.
And this became a full-time thing, or were you still going to school?
Yeah. So, if I have the timeline in my mind correct, I was there for like a summer, and I was like, or maybe it was a year. I can't remember. I was there for like a good amount of time, just like writing every day.
Yeah.
And getting like a lot of co-writing experience, which was awesome. And then I was like, okay, I really want to do music. Like I'm like actually going for it now. And so I decided to apply to Belmont University in
Hell yeah.
Nashville. And yeah, it
So
was
cool. That place is so cool.
It's really cool. And I ended up getting in, and so I went there for a year.
Damn.
Yeah, which was good.
Nashville's a lot.
Nashville's
Nashville's a lot.
yeah, good and bad.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience for me.
Good.
And then
Did you get to use our studios?
no, okay, I feel like that is like not 100% accurate when they tell you can use their studios.
Did you not take the right class? It's for
No,
specific
I was
classes,
in the songwriting major.
And they
And
didn't
they're
let you
like,
use their
you
studios?
can record at Ocean Way in Nashville. And I got there, I was like, there's no way that they're going to let a bunch of students go into Ocean Way.
Oh, that
So,
sucks.
yeah, no, it was
Because
fine.
their facility is out of this world.
It's really nice. Yeah, they're really, really well connected. So I went there for a year, which was technically my junior year, and then ended up coming back for the summer, and I started really getting like paid work in LA. And I
Wow.
knew that I wanted to live in LA at the end of it, so I was like, I'm just gonna stay.
Yeah.
And like, so I just continued to work out of Michael's studio and kind of expanded to other studios as well, and just kind of took off from there.
So did other people in like the LA studios, did they find you through Michael? Or did
Yeah,
you like put
kind
your
of.
name out and like freelance? Did you like Craigslist it? Did you like go to LinkedIn for
I haven't done the
singing?
Craigslist thing yet. Yeah, actually, from one of the gigs at Michael's studio, I found that's how I started doing voiceover, like for Hasbro
Wow.
and stuff.
Yeah, dude, holy shit. I was reading, I was like, you've done Hasbro, like Nickelodeon commercials, like, wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
so
some real-
awesome. I'm telling you, it's not me, it's God.
It's just
I
more-
don't know
I mean,
how.
So
that was literally like right place, right time, right person. Like,
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not in that part of the industry, but like, how do you decide someone's right for that job? Like, you have a Nickelodeon voice.
well, what happened to me was we had gotten a brief at Michael's studio. It's called Revolver for a Cheerios commercial. Do you know where that is? It's across the street from the post office. It's like kind of hidden.
Which post office?
The Thousand Oaks.
There's like 40
You like
post
would
office.
drive by and would never. There's like one post office.
How many post office?
In Thousand Oaks?
The one that's next to the car dealerships?
The car wash.
The car wash.
There's
okay.
a car wash.
Okay.
A great car wash.
Yeah.
And the post office.
Okay.
It's in Thousand Oaks.
And the studio's right around there.
Yeah.
Where the hell is there a studio there?
I'll show it to you sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
All I know is like car dealership, Starbucks, weird bank.
You would never know because it's like huge. And they don't
Really?
want to like advertise because there's so much
don't
like
blame
nice
'em.
equipment in there, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's in what were we talking about? Oh, Cheerios. Okay, so we got a brief for a Cheerios commercial. And it was like, the brief was like, here are the lyrics that we wrote. We want this kind of a song. And like, we want a like, I think they wanted like a black male singer
Okay.
on the track.
Like specifically.
Like specifically like,
Okay.
like black male. And
I'm really curious as to like their chart of like what does a black male sound like? What are they like? What
Yeah.
classifies black male, white male?
I
like,
know.
You know,
It's like
fat person. Like what does a fat person bring to the table? Like I
Yeah.
want to know what their notes are. I'm like
yeah, it was
the board meeting of this is what we need.
like that's the conclusion
you
that
don't
they
think
came
that
to.
and think sound of voice, but
I
yeah,
know.
okay, go for it.
What just like I don't know, like urban they said like
All right,
whatever.
yeah.
I don't know. That's what the brief said. And so I was in there with another producer and then we didn't have a black male
Yeah.
singer
So
with
they
us.
sent you.
So there was a white guy. So we're like, well, I don't think they're gonna know. Like, it's fine. So they had the guy singing on the track, and he's an amazing singer. But like, the whole time he was singing, he was like, in between takes, he'd be like, "This is so stupid. Like, these lyrics are just so dumb. Like, I can't believe I'm doing it." Like, I think it was one of those like, almost like a stereotypical like, I'm a songwriter and I'm so deep and like this is so beneath me that I would
What?
like sell out for Cheerios. I think that's what he
he's getting paid.
Well, and if
single-
it gets picked up, it gets paid. But I don't know. He just like had a bad attitude,
Yeah.
and so it was translating through the microphone, because it was like,
Oh, yeah,
he just
absolutely.
sounds like a guy trying to sound happy. Like he didn't sound like I love Cheerios. It sounded like I'm trying to make you like Cheerios, and I literally want to kill myself
People
on the
don't
inside.
realize that in the recording world. They think
Yeah.
recording is just getting the perfect take, but like
You have to
whatever you
believe it.
bring to the table that day, no matter like attitude, feeling, I mean everything, that the microphone is gonna get that.
Oh, totally. And so we get done, and he leaves, and we're sitting there, and we're like, we cannot
Can't say that.
do this. And so the producer's like, well, like they don't want a girl, but like, do you want to just try something? And I was like, yeah. And so I went in, and I had never done this before because I had never done anything like advertising related.
Yeah.
And literally in between takes, I would be like, I freaking love Cheerios. Cheerios are the greatest cereal in the world, and I want everybody to know how much I love Cheerios. And I would say that to myself.
That's amazing.
But it sounded
I love it.
so good. Like it was like one of the best. Like this voice came out that I like didn't even know.
Just stoked
Just
on Cheerios.
weird. Yeah. Like almost like I'll have to show it to you, but it was just like it didn't even sound like me. Like I was
That's
showing it to people,
amazing.
they're like, "That's you," and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just had the mindset of like I love Cheerios and I'm so excited and I want everybody to love Cheerios as much as me." And so they sent it in, and the company they sent it to, it was another kind of like recording studio, commercial music house place in LA, and they were like, we're not going to use it, but what's the number of the girl singer? Can we have it? And so I was like, oh my gosh, like they're going to call me? What are they going to say? So the guy calls me, and he's like, hey, I heard your Cheerios demo. And I was like, yeah, did you like it? And he was like, that's not your real voice, is it? And I was like, no. And he's like, I can tell you are able to like change your voice for stuff. And I said,
Just off that,
really?
he that's what he picks up.
Yeah, I don't know how. And I was like, and the thing, like anything someone says to you, if they ask you, you just say, yeah, like, of course I can do this.
Yeah,
so
I
I was
can-
like, oh yeah, totally. I'm just looking at the phone like, oh my gosh. And he was like, do you want to, like, I think your voice would be really good for this toy commercial. Like, can you send me something like of you top lining a melody and you singing it? And so I did it that night, and then I like came in the next day to record it
At that guy's place.
At their studio, and that's how I got connected there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a beautiful chain of events.
It was crazy. Yeah.
That's
it was just
amazing.
like right place, right time, right person. Like
Well,
boom, 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 boom.
I mean, from what I'm hearing, I feel like you saw someone with a bad attitude. You basically demonstrated what a good attitude can bring you.
I guess so.
I mean, someone had a bad attitude.
Or just
and you're
believe
like,
in what you're doing and
exactly.
enjoy it, and don't
That's amazing.
think that something is beneath. Because I'm like, it's still music. Like,
yeah,
the lyrics are dumb, but it's fun. Like, it's not supposed to be deep. It's Cheerios.
You're not trying to act like you're meant to do something super deep. You know, you're doing what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so
I love that attitude.
it was good.
So
and
after
I still
doing
do
that Cheerios thing like this, like psyching yourself, is that like a new thing you do now?
Oh my gosh,
ever
I
since
do it
then?
all the time. Yeah. People don't know. I don't say it into the microphone. That'd be really creepy.
That'd be a great like little like stream of bloopers, just cuts of Kylie psyching herself up. For,
I mean, I probably do have some of those somewhere.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I did one like a couple months ago. It was for like a trailer for it was like a demo for a trailer like superhero movie, like super intense, and
yeah.
my voice is not super intense, but I was like, I don't know, making it work. And so in between takes I would be like, I am literally the coolest person in the entire world. Everybody wants to be me. I am so sexy. I was like saying all this stuff.
I just want you to know that's me every morning in the mirror. And I'm not even kidding.
That's not
since like I was 13.
Really?
Every morning in the mirror,
wow,
I talk to myself in the mirror and tell myself I'm the damn best there is.
I need to start doing that.
Shit works.
Outside of it did work though, and so that's what I do now.
So when you say voiceover, it's like
for voice. That wasn't really voiceover. Sorry, go ahead.
No. So it's more like you're doing singing stuff, like, or you actually like talking, like doing the movie trailer, like this summer.
No. Well, for the toy commercial stuff, they used to have me. So it's like typically like a little 15, 30-second singing thing, like about the toy,
little jingle,
and then at the end it's like each sold separately, batteries not included, blah blah blah, like all the legal stuff. And they used to have me just put on like a temporary, like a placeholder demo vocal for that, and then they'd have someone else come in and record that part, but I would still be singing.
Oh wow.
But recently in the last 6 months, when they come out, like my voice is like my temp vocal is still on it, like
really?
They've been keeping the like.
So you get royalties for that?
I don't know.
They own the track, don't
they? It depends. Ask me in like 9 months, because that's how long it takes to get paid. Yeah.
Damn.
It takes a long time.
Do you know who Danny Wilde is from the Rembrandts? Have you ever watched Friends?
Yes.
You know the theme song?
Yes.
The Rembrandts wrote that. Danny Wilde. This is his house.
Yes.
This is his studio in his house. That's who we bought it from. Now I'm not.
This is his studio?
This is his studio. I'm
Did
pretty
he do
sure.
the Friends theme song
I'm
here?
almost like I'm like 99% positive that it was recorded in the studio.
Oh my gosh.
But he also could have told us that to sell the house. I don't know if that was any incentive. I don't know.
I feel like it was though.
He's a really, really, really great guy. I'm going to bring him on the podcast eventually. But he went into writing jingles. So I was asking you because I've always been curious, like, to get close to someone like that. But like writing jingles or even singing those like little 30-second things, because I've heard that's like the best way to get paid as a singer.
I've heard that too.
Like the ultimate, like you just set for life.
Yeah, I have a couple writing credits on some, so I'm not sure yet, because it just takes so long to get paid. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like if you're with like your PRO, it takes like 9 months at least.
Jesus.
Like
Because I know with like
I've
songwriters, like I'll put stuff on ASCAP, right?
Yeah.
And like that'll guarantee me if like anything ever happens, like that'll make sure I get my pay. But like what you're doing, they're hiring you onto like a team, if you will.
Yeah.
And like you have your cut of it, but at the same time you still wrote it. So like, I mean, how to organize that? That's scary. I mean, that's scary.
It's a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot.
But some of those they will send you the lyrics and you write the melody. Yeah. So it's like you're not fully writing the whole song, so it just depends.
But shit, the melody, I mean, that's how people get sued.
That is
That's what they check for.
Very true.
I could literally steal the lyrics from someone else's song and sing them in a different melody, and I probably wouldn't get sued.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I sang, what is it? It's like 4 bars or 8 bars of the same, like similar melody.
Oh my gosh.
Game over.
Did you see that Katy Perry thing with the Christian song?
I
didn't even think it sounded.
I haven't.
It was
looked
like
into
one
it
little
yet,
line. Yeah, it was crazy.
Is it Katy Perry suing, or is it them suing Katy?
No, she got sued.
Really?
I thought she should have won. That was just my opinion, though.
I don't know. That's a really touchy subject. I have talked to both extremes,
Yeah.
opinions at least. Like one side saying, yes, it's your music. If you write it, no one should be allowed to steal it. That's their livelihood. And I agree with a lot of the points. And there's the other side where I've talked to someone where like, fuck musicians. That's bullshit. If you write music, it's to share. People should be allowed to. It's a compliment to your music. And like, there's all these sides. And like, there's
Yeah.
great arguments for both sides. But I'm just like, that's just still one of those areas that I haven't
So
developed
hard.
enough of an opinion on.
You probably will once you
Yeah, no, absolutely.
once someone steals your song, you'll be
Like, I don't know. I guess I mean, I guess it has to. They have to have some sort of like template as to what counts. But for me,
hard,
if I were to sue, I'd have to personally feel like they straight up stole my crap
right. Yeah.
and aren't doing it justice.
Yeah.
But like to do that for me, I'd have to be you to really like just
to
do
be,
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how many people are playing the same chord out there? You know?
I know. That's what's so hard. It's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Of like, because you can't say that you just made something up and you're not influenced by anything at all, because that's
Yeah.
a lie. You are influenced by things,
Absolutely.
and like everything you make, you're influenced by something. But at the same time, you can't just copy. I don't know. It's really
right?
hard.
It's really hard
really
to develop
hard.
like a this is exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Like I want to just like look at the law for that, like what their parameters are. For
I
that.
don't even know.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. I guess it's just like a case by case. I don't think it's a one size fits all answer for that.
Because there's just so many big. I mean, Tom Petty and who was he sued someone?
Yeah,
what was
he
his
did.
one? And then it was
saw-
it was Aerosmith and the Verve for
Oh, really?
Bittersweet Symphony. The Verve were dun 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 dun. That was huge when we were kids.
Really?
That was like the song.
It was. I didn't know Aerosmith sued them.
I think it was Aerosmith. I'm pretty sure it was Aerosmith.
What song of theirs?
I have no idea.
That's interesting. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Dang.
That's
I love
crazy.
Aerosmith.
Yeah. They're just like the epitome of a rock band.
They still got it too.
Oh my god.
I saw them with my Did you see him in
I-
LA a
not
couple
live.
years ago?
No,
Oh,
but I
okay.
saw a video of that and I was like, what the hell?
It's crazy. Like
a
Steven
robot.
Tyler's voice, it's exactly the same.
Which is crazy because
I'm
he's
like-
an animal.
He's like a grandpa, like
Well,
a really cool grandpa.
But he's also like, you don't look at Steven
how
Tyler
are
and be
you
like, that
doing
guy
that?
took care of himself. You know?
I don't know. I mean,
You don't look at him and be like, that guy
think he
took
takes
great
care of himself
Well,
now.
now he does,
Yeah.
but like to withstand all that?
No, I would say he does take care of himself.
Well, because you
Because
know
you
that
can't
he's
sing like that at that age and move like that and not
Well,
be
of
taking
course
care
not,
of yourself.
absolutely. But like he was also the biggest band through the years of like partying and craziness.
But then
And
they
the-
went to rehab and then they.
Yeah, but so did a lot of bands that just can't sing anymore.
That's
I mean,
true.
shit, I saw Zeppelin in 2008 at the O2 Stadium in London,
Oh, cool.
and Robert Plant was a mess. Like, they
Really?
sounded great, but, like, every high note wasn't hit.
Ah.
And, like, I get it, he got old, but I'm like, dude, you guys
Lower
got...
the
you
key or.
like, you got guys like Steven Tyler, like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even Axl Rose, who, like, pretty much has to have tracks behind him now.
Does he still? Guns N' Roses opened for Aerosmith when I saw them, but it wasn't Axl Rose.
No, they kicked him out a while ago.
It
didn't they?
was Miles Kennedy.
Yeah,
He's amazing.
yeah. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses, I'd
Slash still slashing away.
still Slash away. I'll get him one day. He'll come on the show
Yeah,
one
I
day.
think he would.
What would I talk to Slash about? How's heroin?
He doesn't do that, does he?
Well, he was a horrible drug addict
Oh, really?
back in the day. You didn't know that? Slash is like one of the most
No.
infamous people.
I just
You-
like his. I try
Okay.
to see the good in.
I'm sure he's a great guy. I mean, he's recovered. He's still one of the great. He's the legend of legends.
Yeah.
But there's videos of him coming on stage back in the day when he was super addicted, of just walking on stage super messed up and just like messing up the guitar part.
That's so sad.
I mean, it was a pretty common thing back then for a
It
lot of
was.
bands. I mean,
Yeah, and they didn't have the internet.
But yeah, so like you see that stuff, and then you look at someone like Steven Tyler, you're like, dude,
Yeah.
what's your secret, man? Couldn't have just been rehab. Like,
Yeah, I don't
you
know what
withstood
that
something
is.
everyone else couldn't.
He's a beast.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Think he'll ever die?
No.
Right? Like he's figured something out.
Absolutely not.
Steven Tyler will never die. Brought to you by the Studio Quarter Podcast.
Yep.
We
Said
will
it
make
here
sure of it.
first.
In 100 years when he's still singing with a new band.
Yep.
Oh God.
Oh man.
It's like the Rolling Stones. They look like they're like 300 years old.
Yeah.
They didn't age well, but they did age
But
well.
do they still I don't really listen to them as much. But
I'm
do
not
they
a huge fan. But
Yeah. Do they still sound good?
I think they are they still playing?
I feel like they are.
I feel like recently they did their last tour or something like that.
They always say it's the last tour.
Yeah.
But then they keep going.
Sorry, I'm just like going down this like road of all the old musicians that
I know.
just how are they still alive and doing this?
Yeah, it's very impressive.
It's a different breed. Like I mean, you know, you've been in a studio. You know how much work it takes and how like it may seem to the average ear is like, oh, that's a cool track. They probably just went in and recorded, but the amount of work and like
my gosh, yeah.
commitment and just raw grit it takes to pull like even 30 seconds off.
Yeah.
You know, and then you think about these guys who not only did that, but
to do it in one take.
In one take when they couldn't have all this digital stuff and then go out and perform night after night after night, and not most of them didn't have planes in the beginning.
Yeah, which is cool because there was nothing to hide behind back then.
Yeah.
Now you can hide behind a lot. If you know, there's auto-tune. You can do 300 takes of the same line to get it exactly how you want it. You can hide behind really good production of an average song. And it's like you couldn't do that.
There's just nothing
like you're
too
either
raw.
Good or you're not.
Yeah, you either mastered it or you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't oversaturated with nonsense.
Yeah.
Damn. You know what my rule is in the studio?
What's your rule?
So for me, I'm a guitar player.
Right.
I tell myself if I'm doing guitars that day, and it's the parts already written, I have 3 takes to get it.
Ooh, that's good.
And if I don't get it in 3 takes,
well,
if I don't get it in 3 takes, I've been playing for 20 years.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I claim to be a great guitar player.
Yeah.
I've written these songs. I know the parts. If I walk in and I don't get it in 3 takes, I'm like, I'm doing something else today, because that's just some garbage.
It makes you go crazy.
Well, it's also just because it's really about capturing that performance.
Yeah.
Like I do one straight through. Like my acoustic, I don't cut it up into verses and stuff.
Really?
I straight through one track.
That's really cool.
Everything, and even my vocals. Like I'm not the best singer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can sing my stuff, but what I do is I go in and I literally just sing. I'll do like as many as my voice can go. I'll do like anywhere from like 3 to 7 takes.
Yeah.
And then I'll go in there and I'll probably like maybe pitch correct 1 or 2 notes.
That's
but
impressive.
keep it as raw as possible. That's what I mean.
Good.
Like I either get
Yeah.
it or I don't.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really produces a different product.
It does.
And
Well, that's cool. You can be that honest with yourself. And
well, let's see if people like it. But
yeah. Yeah, I have to, when I cut vocals, I have to work with a producer who cuts me off, because I will go.
I'll
be like, oh no, we can do a better take. No, we can do.
That's the best
we can do
artists.
a better take. But
that's what they want.
They do, yeah. So I guess I just have to work with someone who is able to hear and be like, okay, no, that was a good take. We're moving on, because otherwise I'll just sit there for 2 hours and do the same line.
That guy I told you about.
Yeah.
I one night I remember it was the word. I think it was the word the in a track. I think he spent about 2 hours trying to get the right the.
Okay,
I was 17 at the time, and I didn't quite understand. That was
I'm not that bad.
But I mean, there's shit like that.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
But some people, like, that works for them.
I mean, it doesn't work for budgets, but
yeah. If you have no budget, great. Yeah.
That's wild to me. So, all right, so like you went from writing in your bedroom to working in the studio to a pretty professional studio, like a professional studio, and then going to these LA studios. So I imagine the environment is very different.
Yes.
So if you came here, like, this is my like home studio, and like I treat it very professionally, like we can do everything in here, but it'd be very different than going to like an LA studio that's funded by a company and like run by this and paying their employees and this and that, right? Or at least would you feel differently?
No.
Really?
No.
You're not affected by that.
I feel like if people are real musicians and you're in a studio, it's chill. And you kind of learn etiquette, I think.
That's
like
a big
being
one.
in one.
Yeah.
And you just kind of know how to act and what's off limits and what's okay and when to speak up and when to not speak up. And I mean, some are like definitely nicer than other ones.
So you're never intimidated by the idea of like you're in a much higher end studio, I guess is the best way I could put it.
No, I think it's because I learned in a high end studio. So it's like
nice.
And I got comfortable there.
Well, you also learned the etiquette. I like that you said that.
Yeah.
I like that you said that, because that's a really big thing that
is.
even probably professional artists have issue with.
Oh my gosh, like you can tell when someone walks in if they've spent time in a studio. You just know.
You just know.
Like when I first started going, I probably looked like such an amateur because anything anyone did, I'd be like, that was so
amazing.
cool.
Are you kidding? I still do that.
Yeah, I mean, I do that, but
yeah.
it's like, I don't know, not in a, hopefully not as obnoxious. Like, get excited, but not like, I mean, literally
like
anything.
handle
Like,
your shit.
oh my gosh, this microphone. like.
Or not just like,
so
oh my
cool.
God, it exists.
Yeah, exactly.
I get
just
super,
like the shock
super
value
stoked.
of like the environment.
Yeah, that's very different than getting stoked about what's going on.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, it's
you,
more like whoa.
Like walls.
Yeah.
Added. Oh, it
whoa,
sounds,
it's soundproof. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how this works.
Yeah.
I mean, which is fine. Like, it's always good to have someone excited. But like me, I think I have trouble working with people that aren't excited about doing what we're doing. Yeah. Like, I get it. Hour 6, you're tired.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I'm just very much like, when something's good, like, I'll like, fuck, that was great to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I love getting there. I get super stoked about pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
that's what. Yeah.
I'm very much an extremist.
Because
like,
you genuinely love music.
Oh, hell yeah.
But
How could you not?
Well, some people don't, and they.
Yeah. But like, I'm very much an extremist. Like, if something's good, I have to know how good it can get.
Yeah.
So when it is like great, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
just throw
so
things.
exciting.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, totally.
You're like the ultimate like singer. You're the person that like bring someone
I'm
in.
not though.
Well, you know what I mean, like the working singer. Like, essentially, bring
okay.
them in. They're happy. They're excited. They have etiquette. They're professional. They can pull
I
it
hope
off,
so.
which is pretty much like the main thing.
Yeah.
But like, great to work with and easy, because there's just such, especially with sessions, like people, a lot of session players, a lot of seasoned sessions players that don't get much work anymore have become bitter with it.
Yeah.
Matt Bissonette is Elton John's bass player right now for last few years, and before that he's been a studio bass player his whole life. Greg Bissonette, his brother, he's like plays at Ringo. Like, these two guys are like the brothers that do everything.
Yeah.
And I've worked with Matt a few times.
Oh, cool.
And first time I met him, I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, here comes Matt Bissonette. He's going to be like super professional. He's going to be this and that. Like, I had this like this whole thing in my head.
Yeah.
This guy shows up. He's got like, dad shorts on, a loose t-shirt, just this hat, just super happy, just asking questions. We were just like shooting the shit for like an hour. Mm-hmm. And then I play the song and he's just like writing charts while talking to me. He was like the most down-to-earth, nicest guy ever. But you could tell how excited he was to just be playing that bass track.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Probably the 10th one that day.
Yeah.
But like, this guy's been doing it for how long and it hasn't even changed. I'm like, yeah, he's where he is and some people aren't. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the attitude that you have has a lot to do with the reason why a lot of people have been successful in this industry.
Well, thank you. I hope so. Yeah.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I hope Hasbro has more toys for you.
I do too. Because there's a lot of people who are in it for attention and are in it for money, which I love money and I like to make money too.
Money's
but
great.
If that's why I was doing this, I wouldn't still be doing it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, because
you
start
not
out
a
and you
reason.
you make $0 when you start out.
Oh yeah.
Like,
it takes
none.
a long time
It
to
takes
make
a
anything.
long time.
I mean,
Yeah.
I even took up other things to make sure I could continue to do this
Yeah,
stuff.
you have to for a while,
I'm just too stubborn.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, if I'm going to make money on this, it's going to have to be my way, which means that I'm going to have to sacrifice more time, which means that it's going to take longer. So I'm going to do other stuff so I can do things the way I want.
Exactly. Well, that's the right attitude to have too.
Well, I mean, for me, and then, like people are like, oh, I'm not going to do it. It's too hard because I don't want to sell out. I'm like, I'm sorry, but there's a pretty fucking fine line, like thick line between selling out and just like doing, having a career.
Yeah.
It's a very, very big lines like this thick.
Yeah, that's true. You can tell when people are genuine or not pretty quickly.
Especially in studios.
Yeah, for real.
It's like the ultimate exposure.
It really is. Like,
Put a
even
mic.
just when they walk in, you get a vibe.
You get, immediately.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I know why you're here.
That should be like a great way to decide who someone is. Like, put a microphone in front of their face.
Yeah.
It's like, just sit with this for a minute. Talk to me. Mm-hmm. Very different.
It is.
Very different.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, so shit, you're doing all this voiceover work. You're singing. You're writing with artists. Have you written with any big artists, or is it more like the studios have these up and coming artists they want to develop, so you write with them?
It's a little bit of both. I've definitely met some big artists there, which has been cool.
Yeah.
My favorite one recently is a girl named Jillian, and she was on a show on Disney Channel, and she's like 16, and she is so freaking talented, like
Wow.
a really good voice. And what stood out to me about her, I don't normally like writing with like younger not that I have something against younger people,
Just a
but
maturity
like
thing.
as far as artists, it's usually they don't know what they want yet, which is totally fine. Like I didn't know what I wanted when I was 16 either, but it's when somebody's coming in and it's like it's not like a necessity for them and it's not their career, whereas like I'm coming in and like this is my livelihood here, and so I want to put my heart into it and make it worth my while.
Excuse me.
Anyway, all that to say, I don't normally like working with young artists, and with her I absolutely love working with her because she's so talented. She genuinely loves music. She's an incredible singer, and she's decisive, and she isn't afraid to like say what she thinks and say if she likes something or she doesn't. And so it's been really cool to write with her. She's probably my favorite artist I'm working with right now. And
So a lot of it is like development too then.
yeah, a little bit.
And I mean, I imagine mostly with the younger artists, but probably still with some
Yeah.
the older artists. So as someone that's I mean, if they come to you and they bring you as a writer and you're considered the professional, I feel like a lot of that job is the artist development, like getting them to a place where they can write.
A little bit, yeah.
Do you have like techniques that like, you know, like, all right, dealing with an artist, these are things that you can try to get them to open up?
Yeah, it depends on what their strengths are. I kind of play off that. So it's like if somebody comes in and they're a good singer but they're not really a lyricist, then I'm like, okay, my job is to, but they're like maybe a good melody writer. So it's like, okay, my job is to like find their story. So I'll be like, what are you thinking about? Like, what's going on in your life? And we like find something real to write about. And so I feel like it's almost like it's just like hanging out. Like it's almost like a first date. Co-writing is where you're just
That's
like
a much better way to put it than babysitting.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Like, first date is much better. That's a much more positive outlook.
Well, when you're with like a 12-year-old, it kind of is like babysitting.
Yeah. Do you work with 12-year-olds?
No, hopefully not.
God.
I'm trying to think if I have. I think the youngest I've worked with is like 14.
Does that just like the person that owns a studio or, you know, brought someone and like, hey, I want this kid to record something?
Yeah,
or?
sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's like just from being at studios and meeting producers out of there, it's like, hey, I'm working with an artist. Can you come in and like be a writer on this with them?
Yeah.
So it just depends. But yeah, I think it's just like, yeah, like what's going on?
Well, that's just crazy to me because it's like you're very much right in the sense like they don't really have much of a story to tell yet, and if they do, they haven't quite honed the skills to be like, this is what I want to do and this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So
and I'm not saying that for all 14-year-olds, because some they know exactly what they want and they're great, but I don't know, I think it takes time, and it's not really my dream job to help a 14-year-old find their calling in music. Like,
well, that's what counselors are for, isn't it?
Yeah. Or your mom.
Or your mom. Beautifully said. Or your mom.
Yeah, but like I don't want it to come off as like, if you're young you can't have a vision. Like I don't think that at all.
Yeah, I knew when I was 3, so.
Yeah. I'm just saying I like it regardless of age, like throw that out the window. I just want to work with people who love music and know what they want.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what you want, be open to other people's ideas.
Well, that's a huge like killer, I think, in any creative platform is indecisiveness.
Oh, totally.
And it's okay to change. I think people need to realize that it's okay to change your mind. You can change your mind and say, I'm going to change because I think this is better now. But you have to make up your mind in the first place to change it.
Yeah.
Like you can't just not make a decision and then say, fuck it, I'm doing something totally different. Like that's quitting.
It's very hard for creative people to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, because we're always like, you know, in this sensitive and vulnerable place. Like, I'm there all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like an aggressive, like outgoing person, but I'm incredibly sensitive. I'm horribly sensitive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very emotionless. Like, I'm excited. I'm very emotionless, but I'm incredibly sensitive. So, like, yeah, making decisions is really hard when it comes to something that's close to you.
Totally.
But it's quitting. If you never make a decision, then you stop. That's quitting. If you make a decision to change your mind, that's changing your mind.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good way to look at it, because most people, if they like, oh, I'm like, my single's not ready yet. Like, I was gonna release it.
Oh my god, I love that. Please continue. Yes, tell me.
They're like, oh no, actually, I'm putting it off 3 months. It's like that kind of. I never thought of it like that, but that is a form of quitting, because it's like, yeah, in your head, you're putting it off and you're like, oh, I'm making it better. But anything you can make better. Like, I release songs, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have done this, but I'm
Oh,
glad
yeah.
I released it because I learned from it. But just to not do anything, and so
Oh,
many
yeah.
people are paralyzed by the fear of like, it's not ready, it's not good enough, where you should have like enough of a balance to be like, am I just like being overcritical of myself, or like, this is ready and it doesn't have to be perfect because it's art. It doesn't.
Well, it's the same thing like when you're in the studio now, when they say like, yo, your ears are tired, you got to step away and come back and listen to it tomorrow with fresh
Totally,
ears.
yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. It's like if you're working on something and you constantly say I can do it better, it's like at some point you have to give it to another set of ears, put it out there so
Yeah.
it can grow.
Totally.
So you can come
and
back
then you
and do
learn
it better.
from that even more. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, this worked and this didn't, and now let's write a better song. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like artists, at least for me, like I get into this thing like this might be the best song I ever write, and so I better do it perfectly.
It's gotta
And
be
that's
this.
such a lie. Like,
Such
you'll
yeah.
write better songs.
Well,
You
for me,
keep
even
getting better.
like I am an acoustic and singing, and it's really hard for me to like say, all right, I'm gonna do. I've approached the music like multiple times just randomly. I
Yeah.
never really followed through, and this time around I was like, all right, you know what? I have the time, I have the ability. I was like, I'm just gonna do unplugged everything. I don't care how bad I want to produce it. I'm gonna do one guitar track and one vocal track. That's it.
Okay.
And that I'm gonna release as many songs as I possibly can. I'm gonna
Really?
put
Have
them
you
out
been
there.
doing that?
I just started. I literally yesterday morning finished mixing the first one.
Nice.
But like
That's
I
exciting.
and even mixing it, I was like, oh, I could totally harmonize that. Oh, I could just throw one more guitar.
Yeah.
Or what if I embellish it? Like, yeah, it might sound better, but the goal is I've set a boundary that says I'm gonna do it this way and put it out there so that I know that stuff is out there. So when I go back to like reproduce it or make it better,
Yeah.
it's almost like the decision has been made. Like I can make it better now. I can change it.
Right.
But if it never goes out there, I'm just gonna sit there for months
And
producing
then
it.
you
Right.
just get sad.
Yeah, next
like,
year
kinda
my
makes you
EP's coming out next year. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
And
working
then like
on...
5 years later,
God.
it's like
How many times have you heard that?
Oh,
My release party has
literally
been postponed.
I haven't heard. I just hear like, oh, my EP or my single is coming out. So I'm like always like props to the people who are just cranking them out. I'm like,
Yeah, just putting out
even if it's not,
content.
yeah.
Just
I mean,
pouring
like
out.
make it good. Like I think quality over quantity, but like just do it.
Well,
Just
quality
do
over
it.
quantity is like definitely like don't put out nonsense.
Yeah.
But like if you're gonna record and you're gonna do it, like do it right.
Yeah.
But don't sit there and dwell on what it could be for the next 6 months.
Yeah,
Like if there's so much could be, maybe you shouldn't be recording it.
that's
Maybe you
true.
should be rewriting it.
Yeah, maybe you need to rethink that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of that, you do all the studio work, you work with other artists, and now you're trying to put your own music out
I have done that a little bit.
under your name. Is it just Kylie Diehl?
Under my name. That's
love
my
it.
name. Yeah.
So was this been like going on, or did this happen like after all like your experience with writing and other artists?
Yeah, it kind of happened after that. I had just been writing with people and never wanted to be an artist, but I got to a point where I was writing so many songs, and co-writing is fun, but you're not fully in control of what you're creating because
Yeah.
it's like you're writing with 1, 2, 3 other people. There's a producer, there's an engineer, there's other people coming in and giving their opinion on it, and it's really collaborative and awesome in that way. But I just got to a point where I was friends with this guy who was a producer, and like we were gonna start writing stuff, and he's like, why don't we just do stuff for you? And I was like, okay. Like,
Yeah,
why
I'm
not?
down.
And like, let's just try it. And so we have done a couple songs, and it's just fun, and it's just like another creative outlet for me to like, okay, this is mine, and like I got to decide if I liked that bass line. Like we didn't have to take a vote on it. It was like
Yeah.
me, or just anything like that.
So you're writing the
like-
melodies, the lyrics, performing it all.
Kind of co-writing some of it too. Yeah,
But you're the artist this
I'm
time.
the artist. Yeah.
How do you
and
like it?
I like it.
Is
I don't like self-promotion.
that is a downfall
Yeah.
of a lot of
Like,
people.
I
It's a hard
wish-
thing to accept.
I'm like, I wish I lived in the 80s when like you didn't have to post it on Instagram and like be annoying about it.
I post so much. I hate it.
I hate it. I don't hate your
No,
stuff.
no, I don't.
But
I don't
that's
know.
the-
You don't.
But that's the thing. You hate it, but like I enjoy seeing your.
Well, it's like, yeah, I
guitar
love
videos.
people promoting their creative things.
Yeah.
I love artists. I
But
love
the way it
musicians.
feels is like, oh, it makes me feel. I don't like it.
Because it's like, who the fuck am I?
I
to
don't
like force this down everyone's
Well, you're
throat.
good. Yeah, and people are following you for a reason.
Yeah,
It's like they can unfollow you if they want to.
That's true.
Yeah, so I haven't done that.
I like that.
I released like 3 songs last year.
Okay.
And so I haven't been doing that recently as much, but I have new songs that I want to record, and got another guy I'm working with, and we're gonna do. I don't want to say it now, but we're gonna release an EP, and it's coming out soon.
So, what, do you guys have a date?
No, we
Or
don't.
no?
Well, the thing, he's really busy, and I'm busy, and so it's hard. It's kind of just like
A hobby
we're
EP
not
at this point?
It's literally, yeah. It's it's not. There's no date on it, and I wish there was, but realistically, we just can't put a date on it because we don't even we don't know when we can work together yet.
But you're busy on
We've
like
had the
actual
meeting.
music things.
Yeah, which is great, and so is
That's
he.
a fair excuse.
Yeah.
It's a pretty fair excuse.
So yeah, I want to do more of that, but it's just kind of finding the time and the right people to do it with. So
your voice is just everywhere at this point. You're doing I mean, it's amazing. It really is impressive to me, the fact that you as a vocalist, because it's it's a very different instrument than holding a guitar or playing a bass or it's your freaking voice.
Yeah.
And you're able to use it in so many different realms of the industry, and it's incredible. And now here you are saying, I'm kind of digging being my own artist and writing my music. So if someone came up to you and said, I'm going to give you everything you want for one of those things, you could be the top paid voice actor, you could be the top artist, or you could be the top, everything you do. Could you choose one? And if you could, which one would it be?
that's so hard. It's so funny. I actually had a conversation about this with my dad a couple weeks ago, because I was like, I feel like I'm at a point where I'm doing all these things and they're all really fun, but I'm spread super thin, and I'd rather do at least I think I'd rather do let's look at one thing and just really dive into whatever, voice acting or session singing or songwriting or whatever, and I think I would rather be successful at one thing. But even though this is the time to experiment, though,
Absolutely.
so I'm not complaining.
I mean, if you can and you have the ability, which you do, go for it.
Yeah, but I just love songwriting.
For yourself or for other people?
I don't even care.
Just songwriting.
I just love I love it. I love writing, the feeling of writing a song and people hearing it and touching people and
Hell yeah.
having it, being proud of lyrics that you wrote.
That's rock and roll.
That's
right
my
there.
favorite feeling.
That's rock and roll.
Yeah.
I say rock and roll a lot.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
actually
good.
mean classic rock. Just rock and roll
Yeah.
means that's fucking awesome.
Oh, okay.
I say that's rock and roll and that's metal.
Oh,
There's
that's a
two.
good one.
They have different.
I might steal one. That's fun.
It's good.
I might steal one of those.
Saying rock and roll it means it works for everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, it feels natural.
It does. Yeah, it fits you.
So could you take your own music and perform in a full stadium? Does that sound?
Could I do that?
Well, not could. I don't like that. Would you do that, or would you choose writing for that stadium artist, writing with them, hey, they're gonna perform your song?
Oh man, I've never thought about that. So me performing at a stadium. Okay, well, yeah, obviously me performing at a stadium.
There it is. But why? Because obviously songwriting is a big thing. And
but I would love to write for artists too.
But
I
you
like
think
all of it.
You can portray your song better than anyone else.
Yeah, I would think so.
I love that.
I would hope so.
I love that attitude.
But there's some.
Love it.
I hope there's some artists who are great and can portray my songs well too. So.
Well, I mean, that's how most artists make a living. They are better at performing other people's songs. I mean, that's why they're writers and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of curious. I kind of lured you into that one. I was like, what is she gonna say? I like that. I'm very happy to hear that.
Who wouldn't want to get on stage and perform in front of a bunch of people?
So, I noticed this a lot, and.
Yes.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a single part of the industry where I don't notice this, but anyone that's involved with writing or producing is eventually everyone kind of finds themselves where you are. Mm-hmm. I'm recording my own music.
Yeah. What is that?
Everyone. Why do you think everyone seems to end up in that spot?
Because they get annoyed with people.
You think that's the first thing that comes to mind? Because they get annoyed with other people. I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not going to disagree with that.
You know what I think? I think a lot of this was. Well, sorry.
You're good.
This was my experience. I think I deep down always wanted to do that and was too scared to admit it. And I think a lot of other people are like that. And so
Wow.
you can hide behind, oh, I'm going to write for other people. I'm not an artist. But
Not a
you
performer.
secretly are writing in your bedroom and you want to be.
Yeah.
For the most part. Not everybody's like that. But I think a lot of people are like that. And also, when you... Like, songwriting is it's so emotional. And it's deep. Like, even, like, fun songs, like, that... For me, it's like...
exhausting.
That's like... It is exhausting. In a good way. But, like... I leave a session, even if it's a fun song, and I'm like, I feel like emotionally drained.
Numb.
Yeah. And people, it's just personal. And that's a way for people to express themselves. And when you mix in like executive people in an office and you mix in like other co-writers and producers, it's just like it's taking your sacred little thing and like fixing it and like
Tainting
making it tainting it. And so I think people want to have a way, at least for me, to just be able to put it out and not feel like everyone has an opinion and is trying to change it.
It's almost like we all start out pure with this deep love for creating, and then we go down the route of everyone poking at it, and eventually it's done being poked at, and it's like, fuck it, I'm doing this myself.
And it's exhausting. And sometimes it's great. Like, that process can be really, really good. Like, the collaborative process of it.
Collaboration, I'm
jumping
all about,
through all these hoops. But I think at the end of the day, people just want to write whatever they feel like and not have someone tell them that it's wrong.
So I think a lot of that comes with the ability to know the balance.
Yeah.
And someone in your position is now writing for herself, writing, like Kylie Diehl songs, and then getting called in the studio to write a song with this artist or for this artist. There has to be some sort of balance with like how much emotion you're giving, right?
Yeah.
So are you able to be like, are you totally aware of how much you're giving into each session, or do you like sometimes slip up and just pour yourself into a session and not have enough for yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm still learning how to do that. I always think of songwriting as like this little like pearl inside of me.
Yeah.
And like if I have like a bad session, or like maybe I write with someone like I've never written with them, and I write with them and you can tell they're just in it for the wrong reasons, and they're not writing honest lyrics, and it just feels like the little pearl gets like rattled.
Yeah.
And then it just takes time to like get back centered. It throws off my center of gravity.
Wow.
If I have a bad co-write for a long time.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I'm very happy that you're affected that much. Because it says a lot about you, though. Because you are professional and stuff, but the fact that you're showing up and that's what you're giving to it, that's how precious it still is to you.
Is very precious to me.
That means the world to me as another musician, as another songwriter, as another artist. Like, that is what everyone needs to feel. You need to be thrown off balance. You need to be threatened. You need to protect that. I mean, that's amazing. I love that. So do you have something to help you get back centered after that?
I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, normally, like, because I was at a point where, like, a few years ago where, like, I was doing co-writes every day with people who didn't care about songwriting as much as I did. And when I say that, like, that doesn't mean every time I go into the studio I'm writing this deep, heartfelt lyrics. It just means, like, I care about the lyrics and I want them to be honest, and it feels like I'm giving a part of myself to whatever I'm doing. And so when people don't feel the same, it's like we're not on the same page here, and it's throwing me off, and it's making me like a little upset. So I just have to limit, like, I think in the last few months I've just been really careful about who I choose to write with. And like if there's somebody new, I usually am open to like, okay, like we can try 1 or 2 sessions, but if it's not working, I'm not afraid to say no anymore. And just be like that, because that's going to ruin me. And when I go home, I can't write my own stuff and I can't enjoy it because I feel like it was like...
Tainted.
Yeah, that's a good word to use. So
I love that.
It's just like saying yes to the... Like, there's certain people I write with, and it's like every time I write with them, I'm like, yes, like you appreciate this as much as I do, and you're awesome, and I love writing with you, and it fills you. Like, it'll either fill you or drain you based on who you're around. So I want to be around people who fill me.
Yeah, especially in the studio.
Yeah. And you're with them for like 6 hours or whatever. So it's like and it's emotional. So it's like you have to work with people who are on the same page.
I mean, if you can walk out of a 6-hour session and feel filled up,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's so awesome.
that's like a superpower right there.
It's so awesome.
That's incredible.
That's why I like songwriting.
It's like what should be so draining ends up becoming the most like amplifying thing in the world.
Yeah. The best feeling is when you have like a song on loop because you know you're working and like you have it on loop for like 4 hours, and then you get in the car and you're like, I gotta listen to this again.
Oh
like
my
this is
God,
so good.
yeah.
That's the best.
You kind of like rediscover how much you love it.
Yeah,
every
you're
hour.
like, I gotta listen to it like while I'm driving now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is great.
Isn't that the secret? That's how you know a song's gonna be a hit if you can put it on the car, put it on and like drive
car
to
test.
it. Car test
Drive
is the
test.
greatest test in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you can't drive, which you would think you could drive to any song.
You can't drive to any
No,
song.
you really can't.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be
Not
like
the
an
bad
upbeat,
ones.
happy song, but you can put on like a soft acoustic, like emotion, even a fucking orchestra, like you know, musicians playing a song. Any song, any genre, has to be drivable, and they all can be drivable.
Yep, they can. I don't know what that is. But
I think it's the
just-
idea of like
it's
having
magical.
control of like being in like such control and moving that fast,
Yeah.
and then being surrounded by the music.
Yeah.
Like, there's something that like
You're
triggers.
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like I don't know what it is.
Something that triggers the whole body in the drive test.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, how much different is it than putting headphones and like, you know, you put headphones in and then you stand in front of big studio speakers, right? You can feel the vibration.
Right.
You put that in a car, it's like all the different vibrations.
It is. Well, anything sounds good loud. Not anything, but
Right.
most things, you blast it in a nice studio speaker, it's going to sound pretty good.
That's why they have the dimmer button now. It's like, don't be an ass.
If you get in your car or even just on your phone, like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll like play it on my phone in my car. That's when you know
Yeah.
you got a good one.
That's when you know.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna.
Yeah. Like don't use your car speakers.
Yeah, just put the phone
like,
on and
put
set
it
it in the
on your
car.
phone.
I like that. I'm gonna use that.
really, mm-hmm.
Whoa, I'm doing that tonight. I'm gonna
okay.
go for a drive.
Yeah, go for a drive.
Well, before I go for a drive and before we call it here, I want to know someone that's. I mean, I really, really, really love your story. I love the journey you're on and all the steps and the choices that you've been making and how genuine and true you're staying to it. That being said, is there something that you would tell, like say I come up to you and I'm, you know, like 17, 18 years old and say I'm graduating high school in a few months and I want to be a singer. I want to go into the industry. I'm looking to write songs and be a performer or work in studios. What would you tell me? What is like one or two of the most important things I should know in your experience?
Okay. I think the first thing I would say is be exactly who you are and don't try to fit in the mold of what you think people want you to be or what even you think that you're supposed to be. Just like be.
Just
be yourself and don't, because people can tell when you're being fake.
Oh yeah.
They can tell when you're trying to be something else and it doesn't work. And like, we don't need more of the same people. Like we need you and you have something unique to say. Everybody does, you know? So just like, it's so simple, but like, don't try to be something that you're not and just do your thing. And I think the other thing would be, don't feel like, oh, and also going along with that, like everybody's path is different. So don't feel like just because this worked for somebody else that it's going to work for you, because everybody's path is so different. And then I would say, especially if you're young, like go find like a mentor or like a studio or somewhere where you can just like be around people who are doing it. Like don't feel like you need to go to college.
I didn't go to college.
Yeah, like I did. It was good for me, but like I learned way more in the studio than I ever did in college. Like it's a bubble and you don't need to do that. If you can, if you want to, but you have to have your head screwed on right before you go in.
I like that.
Yeah, so
I
that's
love
probably
that.
what I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some bold, some heavy words. I like that. No, it's really, I pretty much ask almost every single guest regarding their, like, you know, where they work or what they do, what their creative path is, you know, to share some advice for like an up and comer, someone new starting.
Yeah.
And I always love hearing what they have to say. I feel like that was inspiring for me personally.
Oh wow.
It was very
thanks.
like, be authentic, just be
Yeah.
and be surrounded, immerse
Yeah.
yourself in it.
Yeah.
Well, Kylie, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Haig. This is so fun.
I hope I can have you on again soon.
I know, that'd be really awesome.
Tackle some cool topics.
More cool topics. Thank you
All
so
right.
much. This is super fun.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Peace.
Peace out.